Hey, what's up? Scott Balkamere with Imagination Creation Films, and today, well, we're answering a question that gets asked a lot. Should I buy a camera to rent? So I often get asked the question, which camera should I buy? Or is it worth it to purchase this certain camera? And those questions have a very long and complicated answers that are more specific to your purposes. But then I got hit with a question that had a somewhat easier answer, if not long. And the question is, should I purchase camera X with the intention of paying for it with camera rentals? I thought, this is a great question that many may not know or realize the answer to. And I'll give the answer in two parts, a short and a long answer. I'll give the long drawn out answer first and then finally the short one. I'm kidding. So the long answer is, all right, the short answer is probably not. The long answer is, it depends. Now, the market is flooded with cameras these days. This isn't a bad thing unless your intention is to rent them. With so many affordable options out there and a seemingly silly implied competition to see who can run with the most expensive camera, people are buying far more complex and expensive cameras than they actually need, with the hopes that they'll grow into it. Now, this isn't a horrible idea, but it may not be a financially secure idea. Now, to put all of this into perspective, I'm going to speak in best case scenarios, what you should really be shooting for, and obviously this won't be a 100% match for many, but it gives you information to think about. Now, unless you just have money to spend without worry of it making any money back, hint, these are called hobbyists, you should have a solid plan to pay for your camera. Do you have a job lined up that will pay for it? Do you have revenue coming in that will justify the purchase already? Do you already have a solid need for a rental on set, for a show, or for any solid reason? If yes, then maybe it is financially sound to purchase one. But even this model gets tricky. What if your show gets canceled? What if your need goes away? Now, before cameras became relatively affordable, and yes, I absolutely mean it, an 80,000K Red or 100,000K Arri today are nothing compared to what film cameras used to cost. But a film camera used to last 10 to 30 years on the rental market. They weren't full of technology, but rather refined machines. Now, with cameras being 95% electronic these days, Moore's Law comes into play, which basically says we will double our capabilities every 18 months. Now, this is slightly slowing down, but not much. We're actually keeping up fairly well. And this means that a camera has a shorter rental window. Now, this doesn't mean that the camera has a shorter life, but rather the rental market demand may not be there in 2 years. Now, there are a lot of people out there shooting amazing projects on 8 to 10-year-old digital cameras and even 40-year-old film cameras, and they still look great. But these cameras are most likely owned by the shooter without a real care for rental income. There are really only a handful of cameras that rent well today, and to be honest, they really are the cameras that are the most expensive. The camera that can't easily be paid for out of pocket or even with credit cards, it becomes the camera you rent. These are higher-end Sonys, Reds, Arris, and Panasonics. Even those cameras will fall out of the rental market, and likely sooner than later. In addition to the number of people reaching higher than they normally would for an expensive camera, you also have an expansion to the lower market of the rental environment. No more do you have to go to a rental house and pay the price that they set. You can now use ShareGrid, KitSplit, or many other options to rent directly from owners. And as I said in a previous video, the race to the top is actually a race to the bottom. Speaking of bottom, the link is down below. More and more credit card DPs are renting their cameras for cheaper and cheaper just so they can afford to pay for them. They didn't have a solid financial plan for their gear. So I'm not telling you what to do, and I'm not trying to discourage you in any way. I'm only asking that you take a pause and seriously consider that camera purchase beforehand. Make sure it makes sense for your needs and also fits into a financial plan. Believe me, there are more of us who make this mistake than will admit it. I'll admit it. I've done it in the past a lot. Now, to expand on this topic a little more and to give you some light at the end of the tunnel, there are lots of gear choices that are still making financial sense in the long term. These are usually items that are more physical in nature and not electronics. For instance, a solid C-stand is timeless. A matte box or follow focus is a solid long-term investment. A good dolly or a slider are timeless. A solid jib or crane is timeless. A tripod is nearly forever. And lenses are timeless if you're buying them for the look of the lens and not its features. Now, I'm sure there are some at the camera companies who are looking at me right now saying, wait, what? Camera companies have a plan to sell cameras. It's a financial plan. Everyone knows this. But in the end, this advice is a benefit for all. They'll still sell the cameras, but they'll have happier people as customers because their customers also had a plan. Spend your money wisely, folks. Have it work for you, not the other way around. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, do feel free to put them in the comment section down below. I do try to read and respond to each and every one, even if it's just to say thank you. I do have a Patreon or PayPal if you wish to support me that way. I appreciate it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you dislike it, give me a thumbs down. We can still be friends. And remember to subscribe to this channel. We are a growing group of filmmakers, creatives, artists, photographers, and we share, all of us. I'm not up here just teaching. I am learning from you as well. Fridays are live streams, and it's a great opportunity for you to interact and learn from not just me, but for me to learn from you and for everybody else in the chat. We have a great, solid group of filmmakers, and I think you'd be a part of it. And, thinking of that, click that alert bell. Otherwise, you're not going to know on a live stream. Do that. And as always, as I like to leave it, don't let your passions center around your life. Let your life center around your passions.